Most people read Plato's Republic and stop. They walk away picturing a rigid utopian dreamer. Keep reading and you'll find something astonishing. Plato spent his later life proving his own greatest theory might be broken and refused to hide it. He wrote a dialogue called the Sophist and one called the Statesman. He promised a third, the philosopher. He never wrote it. The absence is the key. To see why that third dialogue was never written, read these texts the way Plato may have wanted them read, together. Don't treat each dialogue as an isolated treatise. Treat them like buildings on a single campus. Each one connects to the others. Each reveals what the others are for. The Parmenides is the building where the crisis strikes. The Sophist and Statesman are buildings under scaffolding, repair work after the damage. And the philosopher is an empty lot, marked out, planned, never built. Walkways link them all into one continuous argument. Start with the crisis. The theory of forms holds that beyond every fleeting thing stands a perfect, eternal pattern. One form of justice, one form of beauty, grasped not by the eyes but by the mind through dialectic, the disciplined art of reasoning toward truth. In the Parmenides, young Socrates defends this theory, and the elder Parmenides corners him. The link between the forms and the ordinary language begins to break. The forms take a direct and a serious blow. The whole soaring structure of the Republic suddenly stands on a cracked foundation. A cracked foundation, so why doesn't Plato simply abandon the theory? The philosopher Thomas Kuhn explained how thinkers behave under exactly this pressure. Scientists keep a troubled paradigm, a failing framework, not because it works, but because no better alternative exists yet. Astronomers facing broken predictions didn't drop their model. They added epicycles, small extra circles patched on to keep the planets in place. Plato does the same. The Sophist and the Statesman are his epicycles, careful adjustments to save a theory he cannot yet replace. He keeps the forms alive on life support because lawlessness in thought is worse than a wounded theory. Now the missing dialogue makes sense. The Statesman describes a world Plato calls the age of Zeus, our world, where the gods have withdrawn and humans must govern themselves. In that world, dialectic can no longer reach the forms cleanly. And if dialectic can't reach the forms, the philosopher has nothing distinctive left to do. The philosopher couldn't be written because the underlying problem was never solved. This isn't a dialogue Plato simply chose to skip. It's the dog that didn't bark. Concrete proof the crisis stayed open. So Plato keeps the theory alive on life support. What does that compromise look like in politics? In the Republic, the ideal ruler is the philosopher-king, who possesses true knowledge, climbs the divided line, escapes the cave, sees the forms directly, and builds a perfect hierarchy. In the Statesman, that ascent is blocked. So Plato settles for the lawful statesman who has not knowledge but true opinion, beliefs that point in the right direction without grasping the eternal pattern itself. The mechanism connecting them is mimesis, imitation. The lawful statesman is a copy, an image of the philosopher-king we can no longer reach. Plato calls the lawgiver a kind of poet. The laws are a representation, a portrait of the knowledge the true philosopher-king would have had, and the statesman's job changes completely. In the Republic, he built an elegant pyramid, each class stacked rigidly above the next. In the Statesman, he becomes a weaver. He takes the opposing threads of society, the spirited and the timid, the soldiers and the craftsmen, men and women, the bold and the cautious, and binds them into a single durable cloth. Not a hierarchy imposed from above, but a fabric woven from tension. Political coherence, held together by interlacing. And Plato's verdict on law itself is strikingly guarded. Law is a blunt instrument. It speaks in general rules, blind to the particular case, unable to adjust the way a wise ruler could. Plato grants this. The only good thing to be said for law, he writes, is that it is better than having no law at all. That's the honest measure of the retreat, not the gleaming certainty of the republic, but a sober next best arrangement, order that's imperfect yet real, chosen by a thinker who cares deeply about the world here and now. This isn't a defeat, it's something rarer. No thoughtful person reasons the same way across 50 years. Over a long career, Plato's concerns stayed constant, his commitment to justice, to order, to the good, but his answers evolved as he confronted his own failures. The pattern doesn't stop at the Statesman. It continues into his final, longest work, The Laws, where an aging Plato builds an entire legal code for a real city, no philosopher-kings in sight. The arc runs from republic to statesman to laws, constant questions, changing answers all the way to the end. This reveals what kind of thinker Plato truly was. Compare him to Immanuel Kant 2,000 years later. Both built towering systems, and both, when forced to choose, sacrificed metaphysics to protect something they valued more, moral order. Kant would let go of any claim about the deep nature of reality to preserve the moral law within. Plato will let go of his ontology, his very theory of forms, to preserve justice and order in the soul and the city. This is the idealist's instinct. When the abstract scaffolding proves unsustainable, you set it down, and you keep the moral foundation raised. Plato erects a barrier against the slide into chaos, and the barrier matters more than the blueprint. Step back and the whole campus comes into focus. The forms are in trouble. Dialectic is in trouble. The promised philosopher stands as an empty lot, and Plato's final stance is the most honest available. Manage as well as possible until something better is discovered. That stance is a handoff. It hands the torch directly to his greatest student, who would reject the forms, rebuild logic from the ground up, and turn philosophy toward the world we actually live in. Plato couldn't finish the building, but by admitting the foundation had cracked, he laid the groundwork for Aristotle.